Hey everybody, welcome back to a very special episode of Breakdown. Today we're launching our brand new U9 series skates, which includes 3 skate types, all with different features. Now these skates are a successor of sorts to the now discontinued Obsidian Pro series skates, as they're made of the same ultra high molecular polyethylene material, UHMWPE for short. However, these U9 series skates have been updated to not only significantly improve the durability, dethroning the Obsidian Pros as the most durable skate we offer, we've also updated their sizing and performance profiles and improved the skate's performance on not only hard pads but also soft pads. So in today's video we're going to break down all the new features of the brand new U9 series skates and talk in depth all about the performance profiles, various features, sizing, pad compatibility, durability, and much more. But before we get into it, if you enjoy the video and want to see more episodes of Breakdown like this one, be sure to leave a like on this video and get subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any future episodes of Breakdown. And if you'd like to learn more about the U9 series skates or pick up a set for yourself, you can find all the version's product pages linked down in the video description. Now the U9 series skates come in 3 different types, all of which have different features. First we have the U9 6.5mm air dots, which are the smallest version of the U9s currently available. This version is the most universal due to its sizing, being compatible with most if not all mice available on the market, and given their air naming, these skates also feature the same soft microporous polyurethane foam, or SMPF for short, layer found in our other Air series skates, which further improves the U9's performance on hard pads, but we'll talk more about that later. And these 6.5mm U9 Air skates retails for $10.99 USD. Next we have the U9 Air 8mm dots, which are a larger version of the 6.5mm dots we just talked about, which also feature the same SMPF layering, and these skates also retail for $10.99 USD despite their larger size. And lastly, we have the U9 Ultra 8mm dots, which share the same sizing as the 8mm Air versions we just talked about, as well as an SMPF layering, but the layering here in the Ultras is much thinner than the layering found in the Air series skates. But to supplement this, these Ultra versions do have a filling layer in their center, just like the filling layer you'll find in our other Ultra series skates, just in a much smaller form factor. This filling layer does make the U9 Ultras quite unique and does increase their price slightly, as they retail for a slightly more premium price, retailing for $12.99 USD. But as always with our products, if you purchase them directly from our official websites, the U9 series skates will be available for a discounted price, whereas on third-party retailers they will retail for their aforementioned MSRPs. And don't forget that you can use code BREAKDOWN when ordering from our official websites to save even more off your orders. For unboxing, all versions of the U9 series skates come in our newly developed packaging, which also features our new anti-counterfeiting codes. You can scan these codes and verify them on our website to ensure that your skates are genuine X-Raypad products, and this anti-counterfeiting verification will be rolling out to our other skates and product lineups in the near future as well, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. Inside the packaging you'll find 2 alcohol wipes, 2 adhesive removal wipes, and 40 U9 series skates, which will be split into 2 sheets of 20. But in the future, if donut or full-size versions of the U9 series skates are released, donut sets will include 32 donut skates, while full-size or pre-cut versions will include the traditional 2 sets of full-size skates. In terms of installation, since the U9 series skates are made out of UHMWPE material, the Air versions are quite reusable, while the Ultra versions, due to their filling layer, will be single use, just like the full-size versions of our Ultra series skates. As such, we recommend gently applying the U9 series skates, checking their positioning and adjusting it as needed, and then pressing the skates down to fully anchor them to ensure you're not wasting any skates, particularly the Ultra versions. We also highly recommend referencing the official X-Raypad skate installation guide prior to installing the U9 series skates or any of our other skate lineups, as the guide shows you how to properly remove old skates and clean any adhesive or other debris left behind, as well as how to properly install and position all types of our skates, and you can find a link to our official installation guide down in the video description, and it'll be pinned on screen here. Now in terms of dimensions and shaping, as I mentioned earlier, the U9 series skates come in 3 types, and depending on the type you get, the skate's height and shaping will be slightly different. Starting off with the 6.5mm Air versions, these skates have identical dimensions to our other 6.5mm Air skates, unsurprisingly measuring 6.5mm wide and around 9.3mm tall, but the SMPF foam layer inside the skates can compress by around 0.10mm when pressure is applied to them, giving these skates the same height variability found on our other Air series skates. These skates also share the same shaping found on other 6.5mm dots, having a cylindrical body and an oblate crown. Next we have the 8mm U9 Air skates, which share the same dimensions as our Jade Air SE skates, measuring 8mm wide and also having the same 9.3mm height due to the SMPF layer, but just like the smaller 6.5mm air dots, this foam layer can compress by around 0.10mm, giving the 8mm air versions of the U9s the same height variability we just mentioned. This larger version of the U9s also shares the same shaping as the smaller version, just slightly larger, having the same cylindrical body and the same oblate crown, which due to the larger width has a larger surface area at its peak than the 6.5mm versions. Lastly, we have the U9 Ultras, which are very similar to the U9 8mm air skates we just talked about, as this Ultra version shares the same width. However, due to the added anti-collapse filling in the center, just like our other Ultra series skates, this version is slightly taller than other versions, being around 1mm tall, but unlike the air versions, the foam layer inside the Ultras, because it's so thin, can't compress much, meaning the U9 skates won't have any variability to their height unlike the air versions, but as a trade-off and as mentioned earlier, these versions have better stability as there's no height variability due to the anti-collapse filling. But height differences aside, the U9 Ultras also share the same shaping as the 8mm U9 Airs, having the same cylindrical body with the same oblate crowning, with the same larger surface area compared to the 6.5mm air skates. Now, as mentioned earlier, the 6.5mm air versions of the U9 skates will be the most universal, as they'll fit in most if not all mice's skate channels, meaning they'll be universal in terms of mouse compatibility, but the larger 8mm versions of the U9 series skates aren't as compatible, as they can be slightly too wide for some mice's skate channels. They'll have better compatibility than our larger 9.5mm donuts, but they won't be nearly as universal as our smaller 6.5mm versions. Because of this, if you're considering the larger 8mm versions of the U9 series skates, make sure to measure your mouse's skate channel so you buy a compatible version. And also keep in mind that due to the U9 series various heights, particularly the Ultra versions, in some rare situations you might experience tracking issues on some pad types due to the skate's height. As such, we recommend using 1mm or higher LOD levels on your mouse to prevent any potential performance inconsistencies. For skate material, as mentioned earlier, the U9 series skates use the same ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene material that was used on the X-Raypad Obsidian Pro series skates, but this material has been altered here on the U9 series as its molecular weight has been increased significantly, as the Obsidian Pro series skates had a molecular weight of around 4 million, whereas the U9 series skates have a molecular weight of around 9.2 million. Due to this jump in molecular weight, the U9 series skates are not only significantly more durable than hardened PTFE, POM, and standard PTFE material, being approximately 9 times more durable than standard PTFE, they're also roughly 2 times as durable than the Obsidian Pro series skates, leading to a significantly longer skate lifespan and also improved friction coefficients, but we'll talk more about that later. All versions of the U9 series skates also utilize the same frosted surface texturing that was used on the Obsidian and Obsidian Pro series skates, which in combination with various pad types does increase the friction of the U9 skates by varying degrees, and we'll talk more about this texturing later. And as mentioned earlier in this video, the air versions of the U9 series skates also have the same SMPF layering you'll find on our other air series skates, which as we've talked about before, acts as a dampening layer that reduces the amount of friction that travels from the skates into your mouse, which not only reduces the amount of physical feedback you'll feel on rougher fabric and hard pad surfaces, it also significantly reduces the level of audio feedback when using the U9 Airs or our other air series skates on hard pad surfaces. Whereas the Ultra series U9s, while they still have an SMPF layer like the air versions, the foam is much thinner, but to supplement this, the U9s have the aforementioned anti-collapse filling inside of them, which gives the Ultra version significantly improved durability and prevents the skates from collapsing over long-term use. Now, the thin foam layer in these skates does slightly improve the degree of audio feedback when you use the U9 Ultras on hard pads, but not to the same degree as the air versions, but the trade-off for this is that the Ultra versions have improved durability, as we just mentioned. Now, to better explain the degrees of audio feedback you'll experience here using the U9 series skates, here's how all versions sound when they're used on a hard pad. For pad compatibility, due to the differing sizes of the U9 series skates, depending on the set you get, the skate's pad compatibility will vary slightly. Firstly, the 6.5mm U9 Air dots, due to their width, have the same pad compatibility as their other 6.5mm dots, being fully compatible with hard pads as well as medium or mid firmness soft pads, but due to the skate's smaller surface area, when pressure is applied to them, they'll likely bottom out on pads with soft and extra soft bases, causing the base of your mouse to rub against the pad's surface. Whereas the 8mm U9 Air and Ultra series skates are still fully compatible with hard pad types, but their larger size makes them slightly more compatible with soft pad types, as the larger surface area prevents them from sinking as deeply into pads as the smaller versions did, which allows these larger U9 skates to be compatible with both hard pad types as well as both mid and soft base fabric pads, but despite their larger size, they're still incompatible with extra soft base pads in most use cases, though sometimes they can be compatible if you use a very light grip style such as a fingertip grip, but generally speaking we advise against using the 8mm U9s on soft pads with extra soft bases, as compatibility is very situational. And as a last note, the surface texturing here in the U9 series skates, even though they are made of a more durable UH-NWPE material, won't damage fabric pads or hard pad surfaces over long-term use. However, they can damage plastic and resin pads, so we only recommend using the U9 series skates on fabric and hard pads. Now, as we just mentioned, the U9 series skates utilize the same frosted surface texturing we've seen used on our previous Obsidian series skates, and while this frosting is beneficial in terms of the U9's friction coefficients, the effects of this surfacing will vary from pad type to pad type. For example, on fabric pads, the U9 series skates will feel very controlled, having a similar feeling to the Obsidian Pros, but without that sticky feeling, as the frosted texturing digs into the pad surfacing, creating more friction, but again, the range of additional friction will vary from surface weave to surface weave. Whereas on hard pads, this frosted texturing, since it can't dig into a hard pad surface, won't increase the skate's friction per se, but you can work in these skates to slightly increase their surface area by manually buffering or wearing down the skate's surface texturing, creating a larger contact point which will give the skate slightly more friction. Now there are two ways to work in these skates. You can either simply use the skates on your preferred hard pad type and they'll naturally work in over very long-term use, or you can manually work them in. Now most users simply let the skates work themselves in naturally, but during this process they will feel a little inconsistent, and as such we recommend manually working in the skates before use. Now due to the UH-NWPE material, working in the U9 series skates will take a lot longer to do than our other series skates, as the material is much more durable and wear resistant than PTFE or hardened PTFE, but regardless, all you need to do to work in the skates is take your fresh U9 series skates and the hard pad you want to use them on, and while pressing the mouse firmly down into the pad, make a fast figure 8 motion for approximately 30 seconds. Once done, wipe the pad and the skate surface with a microfiber cloth and repeat this process another 4 to 8 times. This work-in process will fully break in the skates, so to speak, to your pad surface, making the skates smoother, quieter, and a little more consistent in terms of their frictions and a little more controlled, as you've manually buffered the frosted texturing on the skate surface down. But it's important to note that you only need to work in the U9 series skates if they're going to be used on hard pads. If you plan on using them on fabric pads, you don't need to work the skates in. For performance profile, the U9 series skates across the board will operate as more control-focused skates, as they have a similar performance profile to the Obsidian Pro skates. However, due to the increased molecular weight, the U9s are more controlled. Now, the degree of control you'll feel for the U9 skates will vary depending on the surface you use them on, as if you use them on a more control-focused hard pad surface, the skates will add even more control to the pad, whereas on a speed-focused hard pad, the skates will slow down the pad, making it feel more balanced in terms of its performance profile. On the other hand, on fabric pads, the U9 skates will lean much more into the control side of the spectrum. Again, it will vary depending on the pad type you use, but the U9s will significantly increase the degree of control you'll feel on any fabric pad due to their texturing, and unlike the Obsidian Pro skates, which had a sticky feeling to them when they're used on fabric, the U9s don't have this, so they're actually quite usable on many fabric pad types. This means that across the board, and regardless of what kind of pad you use them on, the U9 skates are best suited for static and flicking aiming, as their natural control will complement that aim style the best, but if you pair them with some faster pads, you can use them for more dynamic and tracking aiming as well, whereas on fabric pads, the U9 skates are limited to only static and flicking aiming, even if they're used on faster soft pad surfaces. But it is also worth noting that the smaller 6.5mm U9 Air dots, due to their smaller surface area, will be slightly faster, whereas the 8mm versions will be more controlled due to their increased surface area. And lastly, for reusability, as mentioned earlier in this video, both the 6.5 and 8mm mm Air versions of the U9 series skates are quite reusable, as you can fully anchor them and remove them without damaging the skates. However, the Ultra versions, due to their filling layer, aren't as reusable, as sometimes the filling layer inside the skate separates from the skate's body when removed, but not all the time. But this does make the Ultra versions somewhat reusable in some cases, but not all the time, whereas the Air versions are consistently reusable in almost every use case. Alright, and with that, that's everything you need to know about our brand new U9 series skates. If you are a fan of the now discontinued Obsidian Pro series skates and want a similar skate just more controlled and more durable in a brand new color, the U9 series are the perfect option. And if you would like to learn more about these U9 series skates or pick up a set for yourself, you can find their product pages linked down in the video description. And if you have any specific questions about the U9 series skates that we didn't cover in this video, feel free to ask down in the comments and we'll do our best to answer any questions you may have. But that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching and thank you for choosing X-Raypad. Cheers.